Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new here, my name is Jasmine, and here on my channel I film videos about cleaning, organizing, lifestyle, all that kind of good stuff. So thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe and also check out my other videos. I have, I think, 3 videos. Yeah, 3 other videos up. One with cleaning my son's room, which I'm filming in right now. And think organizing my fridge and my pantry, and more videos like that are to come. But today I wanted to do something, I guess, a little different. I'm going to discuss with you all my birth story, my pregnancy journey, giving birth to my son, and my postpartum experience, how that's been going. So I'm just giving you guys the real deal. So let's get started. Okay, so I had my son, William Jr., January 16th, and he is the love of my life. Love him so much. He's actually featured on the end of the Clean With Me nursery video. So his little cute self. But to just go back, I guess from the beginning, I found out I was pregnant on Memorial Day. So I have been feeling not really sick, but just weird. I really don't know how to explain it. I just felt off, I guess you can say. I don't remember, not having a cycle, or my period didn't come or was late or anything like that. I think, what was it that made me want to take a test? My breasts were tender. I don't know, it's really hard for me to explain. It really is. But anyway, so I took a pregnancy test, I think the week before Memorial Day, and it came out negative. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, whatever. But I still felt weird, so I was like, okay, I'll give it one more try. And I'm a morning person. I wake up early regardless of what I was doing the night before. It's rare that I sleep in. Like, it is real rare. So early that morning, I got up, got the last pregnancy test in the box, and I took it. I was halfway asleep. I'm like, it's not even about to be anything. And that positive sign came up super quick, and I was just like, what is this? That's exactly how I was. And I was just like, I wouldn't say my mind was blown, but at the same time, and this might sound bad, but I was just like, I can't get my new car I wanted. Like, literally, I think the night before, or maybe a couple days before, I was talking with my husband, whose name is William, of course, and I was like, it's time. I'm going to finally buy my Mustang. I wanted V8, GT, all black, everything. I wanted it. Still want it. I'm still going to get it. But I was like, I think it's time. And then we're going to be trying to get a house and all this good stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. It's just going to be cool. No. The Lord said, no, you're not getting that Mustang right now. And I had wanted to do the whole cute thing, like how you tell your husband you're pregnant, surprise him. I don't know. I think I was just frustrated, and it was just like, I was, of course, happy, but at the same time, I was just like, what? So I woke him up. I literally was just like, William, wake up. And he woke up confused, like, oh, what's going on? I was like, I'm pregnant. And he was just like, oh, he was so happy already. Halfway asleep, smiling, trying to hug me, falling out the bed. So, yeah, that was how I told my husband. It wasn't anything cute. It wasn't anything, like, worth recording. None of that. It was just like, I'm pregnant. Thanks. So, yeah, that's how that was. And I guess the reason why I was like that also was because I had, we had discussed us waiting. another year waiting for this year to start trying to get pregnant. Just full disclosure, I did have a miscarriage the prior year, which was in December. So I wasn't really looking into going through that experience again. If anybody out there, can relate to that or would like for me to go further into that, I don't mind, because I realized how many women it affects. I didn't even realize that. So I don't mind, being transparent now that I've fully, I guess, gotten over that. But that'll be for another video. So just, if anybody wants to go into details about that, just message me, hit me up on Instagram, and we can definitely talk. But yeah, so anyways, that's how I found I was pregnant. Of course, we told our families. They were excited and everything. So it was pretty good. I started to show a little early. I'm not even gonna lie, I already had like a little pudge. My body is not perfect. It's not where I want it to be, but it is what it is. And my first trimester, I wasn't really, nauseous or anything like that. I did break out a lot. Like, I usually have pretty clear skin. I do take care of my skin, but I was just having breakouts. I mean, he was whooping my tail, my skin's tail anyway. I mean, I had breakouts here. I was having like pimples come over here, and my discoloration started coming. It was just terrible. It was terrible. And then whenever I did feel nauseous, it was usually at work, because at work we had moved to the basement. They were doing some renovations, and it just had this weird smell. And it wasn't just me, like everybody, could smell it. It just turned me off. It was disgusting. So yeah, that was my first trimester. My second trimester, it went by, full breeze. It went by pretty quick, actually. I barely remember how everything went in my second trimester. I mean, of course, found out what we were having. My family threw me a gender reveal and found out, it was a boy.
Ready? Okay, we're gonna do 5. Come on, everybody.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And everything. And my third trimester, I ended up having to work from home more, because I do have scoliosis, so my back was starting to hurt a little more because he was getting bigger. What else? I think I had to, my doctor recommended I go ahead and just start trying to work from home a little more instead of being at work. And I should go ahead and mention, of course, I do have a job outside of YouTube. I haven't blown up or anything like that. So I am a information security analyst. I work in the financial banking industry. Of course, I'm not going to say exactly where I work, but yeah, I do have a bachelor's in IT from Tuskegee University. And I got my master's in information engineering and management from UAB, which is the University of Alabama at Birmingham. So we'll discuss all of that in another video. It's about, let's stick to the topic. So yeah, during my pregnancy, I ended up hiring a doula. And she was amazing. I mean, I would recommend getting a doula for anyone. And basically, if I can explain it correctly, a doula is basically like your advocate when you're giving birth. And in that time leading up to delivering, she just provided so much useful information for me and my husband. Different techniques on massages, on what to eat, the best natural holistic remedies to try. She was amazing. So I'm going to See if I can link her information below, because I think now, since everything going on with the coronavirus, I don't think I can say that. So now with everything going on, she is doing, I think, virtual doula services. So I'm going to see if I can link her information down below, but she was wonderful. Look up what a doula does, and, you know, if you need a doula, I would highly recommend a doula, and I'll get, you know, more into what she did for me during my delivery. So anywho, towards the end of my delivery, you know, towards delivery, the end of my pregnancy, you know, you start going to the doctor like every week. And the last, I think, 2 times I went to the doctor, my blood pressure was, you know, higher than normal each time that I went. So my doctor was kind of scared that I had gestational hypertension. Thank God I didn't. It turns out I really didn't have that. But she was also concerned with how big my son was getting and how small my frame is. So I'm only 5'3". You know, I couldn't. She also told me like my pelvis seemed kind of small. Of course, I don't think you could tell that until you're actually in there. But yeah, so I think that was one reason, my scoliosis, him getting a little bigger, you know, it's just all type of things. So I ended up being induced. I checked in on that Wednesday night. Yeah, that Wednesday night, January 15th, we checked into the hospital at 8 o'clock. So before that, we had like our last little, you know, meal as a couple without a kid at Papados. And we checked into the hospital, got a room, and I changed and everything. And they started me. I forgot the name of the medicine they used. I really can't remember. But so they gave me the medicine, I want to say at 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock. And then again, I had to take a second dose at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so at 3 a.m. is when I started feeling contractions. And yeah, well, no, you know what? They weren't as bad at first as I thought they would be. Yeah, so I couldn't sleep. I couldn't, you know, do anything. All I could kind of do was just walk around and breathe, and that's about it. I mean, William was asleep, and my doula, she came and she was asleep. So yeah, and that morning at 7, the doctor who was on call came in and they broke my water. And that happened like that. I mean, like, when they say it happens like that, it really does. At first, I was like, no, it's going to take a while. No, basically what they do, they come in, they check you, make sure everything's, you know, going okay like it's supposed to. And they take this hook thing and stick it up there and then just pop. It felt so nasty. I mean, like, it just felt like I was, you know, just going on myself, and I couldn't stop. And it was on the bed, and anyway, yeah. So that happened. And another thing is they, you know, monitor you and the baby, so they're always constantly making sure they can keep up with the baby's heartbeat. And if, you know, you move a certain way or the baby decides to float up another way, they come in and, you know, readjust you. So for those who haven't experienced, you know, childbirth, I think that's one thing you got to get used to while you're dealing with it. But anyway, so my doctor had already told me that I was going to need to take Pitocin, or be given Pitocin, and basically kickstart my labor. So she had already told me that I was going to start off with a low dosage. I don't know if that's like 2 considered millimeters, cc's. I don't know the proper term. I just know it's supposed to be low, like in the 2s. So she had already told me that. But my nurse at the time started me off at like a 6. So when I tell you those contractions started coming in, like you would have thought that the baby was coming any second. And my doula was there. Of course, I'm in pain, not really focusing, but she was there and keeping up with everything. And she questioned it and she said, no, I don't think that's right. Why are you starting her off so high? And of course, it was wrong. They should have started me off at a very low dosage. So they took me off the Pitocin for a while. And another thing to note, one reason why I ended up getting a doula was because I was trying to have a natural birth. Did not go as planned at all whatsoever. So like my doctor told me, it's good to have a plan. It's great to have a plan, but just expect the unexpected to happen. So, and that was in my case. I ended up getting the epidural. And one reason why was because they started me off so with that much Pitocin, and it just, I don't even know how to describe it. And they were coming so quick. Like my contractions were just back to back to back, and it was too early for that. So they took me off the Pitocin. And later on that afternoon, my mom and dad came to the hospital. So, you know, and I was in labor. The epidural, honestly, it wasn't that bad. I made the mistake of watching epidural videos during my pregnancy, and I was like, no, I'm not dealing with no big needle. I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing it natural. No. The epidural, I had a great doctor who did my epidural. I was already kind of in pain, you know, because of the contractions, but the epidural part, of course, I felt it, the needle go into my back, but it wasn't that bad. So everybody's experience is different. But yeah, my experience with epidural, it worked the first time. I've heard stories. I had friends who had to get multiple epidurals done, and that wasn't my case. So I was very thankful for that. So yeah, anyways, still was in labor. And when my nurse came to check on everything, she realized my cervix was swollen. So my doctor came in, she checked it too, and, you know, determined the same thing. So they ended up giving me Benadryl to see if that will help. I think I ended up taking Benadryl twice. Yeah, but my cervix was super swollen. And my son, I guess he figured he wasn't able to get out, you know, that way. So he gonna back it on up and stay in there. So during my contractions, you could see like his butt basically like near my rib cage. And yeah, he backed it all the way up. He said, forget y'all, I'm not coming out. If I can't go out that way, I'm just gonna stay in here. So with that, I ended up having to have a C-section. And I actually cried. Like my doula, you know, she was hugging me and comforting me, and, you know, but I was just upset. I kind of felt like I failed in a sense, because that's not what I wanted. That's not what I planned. I wanted a natural vaginal birth, and it just didn't happen. So I was kind of upset about that, you know, but it is what it is. I was just to the point, like, as long as he comes out healthy, once I was done crying, as long as he comes out healthy and fine, then I'm okay. My doctor, you know, they tried everything. A lot of doctors, I heard, you know, they're just ready to get it over with. They don't care about what you want. And I thank God that I found a great doctor who actually cared about my plan and what I wanted, and working with my doula, and, you know, just determine the best path for me to go down to deliver my baby. Because if we would have kept trying to push and do all this stuff, it was very high risk for me and my son to do that. So the C-section was the best option. I think at that point, when they determined the C-section was needed, I was dilated 7 centimeters, almost 8. Basically, they told me if my cervix wasn't swollen, he would have been pushed out, because I was moving along pretty fast for my first, you know, child. So it gets kind of blurry for me. Once they came in, the anesthesiologist came in and I guess started the process of everything. I was kind of out. I remember my mom being like, oh, I'm coming in there too. And, you know, I don't even remember getting wheeled back there, actually. I do remember when I was in there, I was super cold. I could not stop shaking. And I think that was one of the side effects of the medicine that I had to take, that the anesthesiologist gave me for me to be able to, you know, have my surgery. And I just could not stop shaking. I mean, they gave me, you know, heating blankets and things like that, but I was just so cold. I could not stop shaking at all. So that's one thing I do remember. And I remember the nurse who was like right here by my head saying, you know, I'm going to feel pressure because they were getting ready to, I guess, pull him out. But because he had backed up so far, my doctor and the rest of the team had to go in further into me and pull him out. And the feeling I felt, it was more than pressure. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was pain, but I don't know how to describe it. William told me that I made a sound that was just like, you can't even describe what it was. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't, he said he don't know how to describe it, but he knew I was in pain with that. And he told me that he felt so bad. He was just not mad, but just wishing he could do something because of how I was. Then he said at that moment, he wasn't scared for any other thing except for that moment. Yeah, so once they pulled him out, he was there. It was, what, 4:46 p.m.?
Look at him. He said, hey.
You're so handsome. Hey, I love you.
They announced it, and they asked me if I wanted to hold him. I did, but at the same time, I didn't because I was shaking so bad. So I just wanted to see him, and they showed him to me, and it was, you know, pretty awesome. Okay, so I do remember asking, you know, were they almost done? And during my, I guess it's not labor. I don't know. I guess it is when I was in labor. I kept saying, I'm tired of these ice chips. Mind you, that's all you can have. That's all they're going to let you have is ice chips. I got so sick of ice chips. I was like, I need some Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor, something. I'm sick of these ice chips. Like, it just got on my nerves. It irked me so bad. But I didn't need to eat anything. But I just got tired of the ice chips. But anyway, so they had, you know, of course, took my son back to the room. Him and William and my mom went back to the room while I was, you know, getting put back together, basically. And, you know, they rolled me back in there. And I kind of remember stuff, but I don't. I was still out of it. I was having a reaction to the medication because, you know, you got to think I hadn't ate anything since, what, 8 o'clock? No, before 8 o'clock. Maybe like 7 o'clock the night before. And I was taking all these different medicines and then, you know, being under, and it was a lot. So I was, you know, I couldn't keep anything down pretty much after the C-section. Couldn't keep water down, juice down. And I think we got the last of the cafeteria food that night. So it wasn't even good anyway. I was over it, but I was just ready to see my baby. And, you know, had my family in there, my in-laws were in there. And it was, from what I remember, it was a good moment. So we were in the delivery room. They moved us to recovery. And once we got to recovery, I had other nurses come in and talk to me and check on me. They ended up putting these blood clot prevention wrap things on my legs. And I do remember still trying to feed my baby like a bottle because my milk hadn't come in yet. But I was so out of it. And William was like, you can give me the baby. Like, you need to rest. You literally just had him come out. You're still like loopy. But I was just like, no, I want to feed my baby. Whatever. And I didn't want him to go to the nursery. By 2 o'clock in the morning, we called the nurse to come get him so we could rest. So I would definitely recommend using the nursery while you're in the hospital. Like, take full advantage of it, because you're not going to have that same opportunity once you leave. So yeah, I would say definitely take advantage of it. And while I was there, the nurses that I had, because of course they were rotating out different shifts, all of them were excellent. All of them were great. I gave birth at Grandview Medical Center here in Birmingham, Alabama, and it was great. My doctor's great. The nurses, everybody was just fantastic. They kept me on schedule with my medication, and everybody loved my baby. I mean, he was, I think, the quietest baby on the floor. We had one baby next door to us who you would think they were being murdered or something. It was just, their cry was like all the time, constant, loud. But with William Jr., he was chill. He still is, unless he's eating, a chill baby. He might have fussed a little bit when it was time for him to eat. And he fussed the most when they gave him like his little first wash up or bath. Other than that, we barely heard a peep. He was chill the entire time. So I had him that Thursday, and I was discharged from the hospital on that Sunday, and we came home. So now we're moving into the postpartum stage. Of course, I was, kind of lucky to, not kind of, I was lucky to have my husband here, but he ended up still having to go to work when we, first came home, and then he was able to have his vacation and everything the week after. So, it was me and the baby here. And it was, I'm not even gonna lie, it was rough. I was still trying to recover from having the C-section and then being a new mom, not really knowing what to do. I mean, it's, I have younger sisters, so I was there when they were born and everything. But when it's your own child, it's like a whole new level, a whole new thing. And yeah, it was, I'm not even gonna lie, it was very challenging. Some days I cried. Some days I was like, oh my gosh, what have we gotten ourselves into? And then on top of that, I am breastfeeding. Let me tell you, breastfeeding is one of the hardest things I feel like women will have to go through. Whether you're trying to breastfeed, you want to breastfeed, or like you're pumping, it's so much that goes into breastfeeding. So I didn't take a class. I should have, to at least somewhat prepare me for it, which I would recommend everybody, take a class if you plan on breastfeeding. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know if I didn't have time. I don't know. But my milk didn't come in until that, I think, Monday after we got home from the hospital. And when it came, okay? I was overproducing pretty much, and I suffered from engorgement, clogged ducts, anything you can think of. I ended up getting mastitis, which is basically like the flu from breastfeeding, from having engorged, breasts and clogged ducts and everything. And then Junior act like he ain't want to latch, even though he can, but he ain't feel like it. It was so much. I was pumping like every 2 hours. And when you have a newborn, it's like time just doesn't exist. It's just, you're just going. you feel like you literally just pumped and it's already 2 hours later and you're pumping again. Yeah, it's a lot. So anybody who breastfeeds, hats off to you. I'm still breastfeeding, but it is one of the hardest things I think I've dealt with, other than, of course, actual like labor and delivery with him. Yeah, and I think another thing that happens is a lot of shaming for women who don't breastfeed, who choose not to breastfeed, who can't breastfeed for whatever reason. And I just do not agree with that. If you want to give your child formula, give your child formula, as long as they are eating and getting the right, nutrients and things like that. Don't feel ashamed if you can't breastfeed, if you're underproducing or whatever. You talk to your lactation consultant, which I had to see one for all of my issues that I was having, and you make it work. Do not let people shame you for not breastfeeding, because it ain't for everybody. It really ain't for me, but I'm doing it because it's like, considered the best for my child. But it really is tough. It is really a tough thing to go through after trying to recover from having a whole human. Yeah, a whole human comes out your body. And then you got to let your milk come in. Or if it doesn't come in, then you got to deal with postpartum depression and hair loss and whatever else. It is so much that goes into having a child. Like after the hospital, it gets real. So I don't know like why this such a, I guess, a perfect picture of labor, delivery, birth, coming home is painted, and people don't get the realness of what it is. Like an example would be, I think for Super Bowl, all these different commercials, Frida, which is a company I think that helps with postpartum. They sell different items women can use to get through the postpartum stage or recovery stage. And it showed the realness of what women go through after giving birth and coming home. And they didn't want to air that. They didn't air that commercial. But I'm just like, people need to see this. Like, they need to see what women go through. It's not always roses and sunshine when people come home from the hospital. It's rough out here in these streets. You look rough, you feel rough. Your body ain't the same. My body ain't the same no more. It's tough out here. And of course, I wouldn't trade anything. I'd do it all over again for my little bundle of joy. I really would. But I just want people to know the realness of having a child and what people go through. So yeah, I'm still technically, I guess you could say I'm still in the postpartum stage. My son, he's two months, will be 3 months soon, which is crazy to me that he's even this big already. He is fully healthy. Yeah, like every time we go to the doctor, they're like, oh yeah, he's gaining weight like he's supposed to. He's a healthy fellow. Okay. So yeah, that's been my birth story, my birth journey, I guess you can say. Yeah, he's the love of my life. I thank God for him every single day, and everybody just falls so in love with him when they meet him, when they see him. So yeah, that is my birth journey, pregnancy journey. Pregnancy journey really wasn't that interesting, but it is what it is. Yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave, any comments below, any feedback you guys want to give me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.